Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Hi, everybody. This is Darragh O'Connor from Horrenda. You are listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast. Check it out.
1, 2, 3, 4. The Brutally Delicious podcast. The Brutally Delicious podcast. The Brutally Delicious podcast. The Brutally Delicious podcast.
I think one of the things I like most about doing the show is coming across bands that I may not have heard of. And you guys been around for a while, but you can't know about everything. So when stuff like this comes across, I'm like, oh wow, how did I not know? End up doing like a deep dive. So for those not familiar with you guys, can you give us like the 2-sentence elevator pitch?
We're a black and extreme metal band from Ireland that infuses black metal with like hardcore extreme music.
I think that's not really uncommon for there because I'm thinking of 2 bands that, well, definitely one. I'm a huge Primordial fan.
Yeah, for sure. I
Have
think
been forever.
yeah, you're not if you're from Ireland and you play black metal, Primordia are one of those bands that you're least aware of.
Right. And then I'm good friends with Keith in Cruachan.
Literally saw him last week.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
I saw
funny.
it. Yeah, I was in Bruges last week and I was talking to him before he boarded the plane, so that's too funny.
Yeah. We've done a lot of stuff over the years and been on 70,000 tons of metal a few times together, and I know him really well.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
So let's start with Horrenda then.
Sure.
New record. How
Uh,
does
New old record. New old record. Yeah.
new old record?
Yeah. But like yeah, so which one do you want to start with, Bruce?
Let's start here. Forget about the record for a second.
Sure.
How does Horrenda's use of Irish mythology and history in how do you say that? Deoltlis?
The Outis, yeah.
Set them apart from other black and extreme metal bands? And what narrative do you think is emerging from that folklore?
That's a good question. I mean, there is the danger when you do that kind of stuff that you're just seen as a band that uses anything like a crutch, you know. So and look, that's the wheelhouse of some people, fair enough. But like I'm a big Amon Amarth fan, but the problem with
Hmm.
Amon Amarth is they can't really stray beyond using the whole Viking thing, you know.
Right.
So we didn't want to do that. So the way we use Irish mythology is more like a metaphor to say something. So instead of being like this song is about Balor, we're using Balor images of Balor or whatever to discuss a wider topic that people can relate to. So it's still pulling from obviously our heritage and our culture, but it's not about that. It's about something else, and we're kind of tapping into that to tell a larger story. Which, to be honest with you, if you go back and look at Irish writings and Irish literature from the early 20th century, that's the way it was done. They wouldn't just be like, here is the story of such and such. It would be like, here is the story of such and such, and here's how it relates to what's going on right now. So that's the way we do it. We very much kind of tap into that um, early 20th century approach.
I think that when music uses all of the available, or when metal uses, even extreme metal music, when you use all the available resources to you, that whether it's incorporating like indigenous instruments or melodies or folklores or whatever, I think that's when it becomes the most real, right? When it
hmm
crosses those weird little boundaries and you're adding, traditional stuff to it, I think it gives it, I don't want to say more credibility, but it makes it more organic and real.
That's what we tried to do. We tried to be authentic. Like real's a good word. Authentic I like as well because again, there's so many bands out there trying to put across a message, but they might not all be on the same page, or it might be, commercial or whatever. But on the flip side of that, one of the coolest things about music compared to like an actor or a writer or something like that. Music, it's you, right? It's supposed to be you, and you can anyone who's tried to write anything musical, they'll know how difficult it is to force something. Like you'll hear it, you know. If something doesn't sound good to you and if it's not natural, you're gonna hate it a little bit. But if everything clicks together and it comes out naturally and it's authentic, not only do you really enjoy it, but the crowd really enjoys it too. And like when we're playing live, there's certain songs in our set that the crowd just hooks immediately. And it's always really cool to see, no matter where we've played, once we get into, funny enough, the title track, the Altus, the crowd is immediately with us. And that's a really, really cool thing to see happen up on stage to, a sea of people. It's pretty badass.
Um, how much time do you put into making sure it's gonna be something for your audience? Does that make sense? Are you writing like writing for yourself and then hoping they're along for the journey, or are you writing so you have something that your fans will like?
Yeah, yes and no, right? So I think writing for an audience is a bad idea in general because you're not going to enjoy it, right? Unless you're into that kind of music, a lot of pop music would kind of do that, and obviously that's that, you know. But on the Altus, I think was the perfect way to do it because we had 3 or 4 years of gigging with that material before we went in and recorded it. So a lot of those songs are songs that I went in and wrote and then took it to the band and we would iterate and then we'd play it live and kind of make changes here and there. So that's like the best way to do an album, to be honest with you. Like road test it, see how it goes, and then adjust, obviously, because you still want it to be what you have to say and what your vision is, but it helps that when the crowd likes it. But
Right.
you can't do that after the first album, particularly when you're in this cycle where you're touring and you're writing. It's more like you kind of have to do it backwards, where you write the song and then see what happens. Um, but to answer your question, there are certain songs we will play and certain sets we will do based on the crowd. For example, we were closing out the Irish Siege of Limerick, the biggest festival in Ireland, there last week, and we were offered to do an encore. We played Axewound. Axewound gets the crowd going because it was a busy, crazy crowd, and we're like, right, let's close this out strong. So in that case, there are certain songs that the crowd likes more than others, but then again, it depends on the crowd. If you're playing on a stage with a bunch of death metal fans, thrash metal fans, or whatever, or who want the fast stuff, you'll play the fast stuff. But if you're in a more like chill environment, you'll play some slower stuff. So we do take it into account, and obviously, like the crowd likes the songs that they like, but it's still about what we want to put out there first and foremost.
So I got plenty of questions here, but the next one, I kind of want to go back to what you said a little earlier. The message. Is there a takeaway you want somebody to walk away from after listening to, let's go with the Altos for right now.
Yeah, so the Altus means revenge, right? That's what it means. And like modern Ireland is so can I swear? No? Yes?
Absolutely.
So modern Ireland is fucked up beyond all comprehensive. Like whatever side you want to take. I don't know if people have looked into what's going on in Ireland, but we have every kind of crisis you can possibly imagine, left and right, no matter what way you want to take it. Everybody
Seems to be a
across the whole.
world thing, right? Because I'm
It's
in
a
the
word.
US and we've got the same shit.
Yeah, but the difference here is like in Ireland, it shouldn't be that way. We're a small country. You
Right.
know, we are a small country and we had everything. And instead of it being done to secure a country that works, it's just broken beyond all comprehension. Like
Right.
while I appreciate the US and Canada and Europe, Ireland is small and Horrenda focuses on Ireland and the tragedy. Like, I mean, our nation was built like just over 100 years, if even. And we messed it up spectacularly. So that's kind of that's where we're like, okay, that's the takeaway that modern Ireland really is messed up. We had a lot of people had to leave. The mental health crisis is insane here, and that's what Horrenda is. It's like it's a mirror reflecting how bad the situation is here, and that's the takeaway. It's where it's like, right, if you have something to say, go and say it, but make sure it's a salient point that isn't just attention seeking. It has to actually like mean something.
Do you do you find a sort of responsibility then to do that? Is that like built into your band's DNA?
Um, Not a responsibility per se, but it's more like so Aaron does a lot of the vocals now. Sorry, Aaron does all the vocals now, but he will do a lot of the lyric writing. But when I write, and the Outis was a lot of me, um, and you can tell the songs that I write, and you can tell the songs that Aaron writes. And now as a band, we're kind of being a bit more collaborative, so the new stuff's going to be a bit more across the band. But when I have something to say, and it's like a tap comes on, I can bang out like 2 albums in like a week. But then it goes off for 3 years, and I can't write anything. So
Right.
and I don't know how many creative people are like that, but for me, that's very frustrating. Where once the tap's on, it's like, right, let's go, and then I'll sit back and nothing will happen because I can't force it. Um, and that's why I think on your sins, Mark did a lot of the writing. That's a much more band collaboration thing because we were all like, I'm like, lads, what do we do? But even with that, while I would focus on the failures of the Irish political system, the social thing, blah blah blah. I think on your sins, Aaron then talks about the church, talks about overall that side of things more, how the psychological impact of Ireland in general, through the lens of movies that we like The Devils and Come and See. So it depends. Like it's always there, but it's very much like what we talked about with the folklore thing, where it's baked in because we're from Ireland. We're millennials from Ireland, so it's just what's around us, and you are a product of your society, whether you want to admit it or not.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
So let's talk about In Your Sins. Think on Your Sins for a second. In what ways do you think on Your Sins draws inspiration from Dante's Inferno? And how do you think the album's lyrical and musical choices reflect the journey through the dark corners of humanity?
So have you read Dante's Inferno?
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm
if
an actual
anyone,
literature major from
oh well, there you go.
yeah.
Yeah. So for anyone that hasn't read it, obviously it's a 3-part series. And Inferno is the first part through hell, and it's different 9 circles and stuff like that. So like the recording of Think on Your Sins was a bit of a nightmare. It was over like 3 studios. Two, we replaced drummers. We replaced a drummer at the time. We got like 2 new members, and we were just kind of like, right, we have to kind of figure out how to write, because between the Altus and Think on Your Sins, we went through a pandemic. It was like 4 or 5 years in 4 years in the gap, and then we had personnel changes. So we're like, right, let's try and see what we have. And then when we recorded the songs and we picked the songs that we liked, like, how can we narratively tie these together? And it wasn't until I was actually on Facebook, believe it or not, and I was flicking through and I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool image of Gustave Doré's Inferno. I can't remember which one it was. And I'm like, okay, that could be a pretty cool way to kind of package the album. So went through, saw how we could rework stuff and like retrofit it in, and it just works really, really well. We added the intro, and it really kind of tells that cool story now of just descending, through, like, every song gets
All
more and
those
more.
layers. Right.
Yeah, every song gets more and more dark until the end when you come back up, because obviously at the end of Paradiso you go towards heaven. But the lyrics of Think on Your Sins, it's very reflective. So just as you are at that like lowest ebb, and you're like, okay, let's think about everything we've heard, and obviously your own personal life, but then you can kind of move on, and that just kind of came together. So I mean, look, there's one thing to be said about planning. There's another thing to be said that sometimes the universe just hands you this idea, and it worked really, really well. I think, but like when you listen to Think on Your Sins through the lens of Dante's Inferno, it's really, really cool. It's the proper way to listen to it.
Interesting. And I agree. I was just curious how you got there and what the representation was. So what is a horrendous show like? Let's go back for a second. When
Hmm.
you're writing, are you writing these songs like how they're going to come across on stage? Because you're a very theatrical band, right?
Yeah.
Energetic and theatrical. Are you writing those songs saying, hey, this will be a good part for fill in the blank jumping or
Yes, I mean sometimes, right? Like, um, we have what's called the Horrenda acts, where we will just mutilate a song that someone brings in to make it Horrenda, right? So there's never been a case where someone's walked in and said, "This is the full song," and then we play it like that, you know? It's more like if we have a new song and we're like, right, we need like a fast one, so we'd write a fast one, or we need like something a bit slower or whatever. But that's like 10% of the time. A lot of the time, it's just like we have this really cool idea and it'll just magically happen. Um, so like we'll more sit there and go, right, what comes out naturally, and then we will retrofit it, going, okay, this is a fast song here. We'll have this here because anytime we've tried to do that, or anytime we've tried, like, right, we need songs that are in this key, it doesn't work because you can't force it, Bruce. You know, you have to just kind of just
you're
see
going
what
full circle
naturally
to what you
happens.
said earlier. The whole thing
Yeah,
can't be forced.
you can't force it, right?
Right.
So, like, and look, there's probably some bands that can do that, and you know what? I really admire that. If you can do that, that's awesome because we just can't.
And the
But
emotional connection to them might
it's
not be the
gone.
same, right?
Yeah, it's gone. Like
And then you're
it's
gonna
one
play that song every night for 9 months and you
you
hate
hate
it.
it. Yeah, yeah. So and look, we've been there as well. Like there's one or two songs that we don't play live because we're like, oh, we hate this. Funny enough, I don't like handprints. Like the song handprints, but the guys love it and the crowd loves it. So I'm just like, oh, this fucking song, you know? So, but you know, and that's a good song, and it wasn't written in that way, but I just don't connect with it myself. So I'm more just like, right, let's get through it. But you know, it just is what it is. Like to answer your question, we can't force it, and anytime we try to, even in that minor way, it just doesn't work. So it's more like we write whatever happens, happens, and then, you know, but there is this thing where you can kind of feel the song, right? There's a couple of horrendous songs that are not to sound cheesy, but they're alive, right? And when you listen to them and when you play them, you can literally feel them at the base of your spine, and it's like this electricity. Slua is one of them. The Altus is another one. Um, and the new song we just recorded is another one as well. And funny enough, they can't be recorded with a click because obviously you would use a click all the time to record, but you just can't with the alive songs because they're alive. And maybe that's the secret sauce.
So it's a little different every time you're playing it then.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like Slua is pretty much straight on, but it is our closer, so we'll add bits here and there depending. The Altus is different every time we play it live.
Interesting.
Every time we play it live. Because it is like kind of it's live, you know, once it starts, we don't know what's going to happen.
Is it
And
morph
that's
then too, or no? Is that not a thing?
yeah, like you'll add bits in. We have three guitar players, so like I'll add in a little bit here and there or whatever, but like it's more like to answer what you said, what are our live shows like? I don't know what Aaron's going to do. Aaron's probably going to climb something. He might jump off something. He might go into the crowd. I have no idea what he's going to do. And that's the energy that those alive songs are. The more death metal songs that we have, like Axwheel, Nerve Gas, you know, they're pretty straightforward. They're just, you know, middle of the set, bang, get a little pick on. But other than that, like the alive songs, you don't really know what's going to happen. Of
Fair enough. So I've got a couple more, and then I want to move on to something else if you're interested. But
course.
fans want to find Horrenda. Where are they? Where can they do so?
So we're super easy to find, really. If you go to horrendaofficial.com, all the links are there. That's our link tree. We're on Spotify. If you type Horrenda Ireland into Google, everything there is optimized, so it'll take you to our Bandcamp. We're super easy to find, but the best way to do it is to just pop it into Google, Horrenda Ireland. There you go.
And then, are you planning on taking this out on the road?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have so many shows coming up. And the best way again to find out is to go over to our social media, see when they're announced. Um, our website lists all the shows we have coming up as well. We have two UK tours coming up, one in July and then one in September. We're working on some more shows, hopefully into Europe near the end of the year. And the real hope is to get stateside in the
I
near future.
imagine that's
So
a nightmare these days.
look, it is what it is, you know. But because you're gonna to put a not too fine a point on it, Bruce. Ireland is an island, so any kind of jump for us is a bit of a nightmare because
Oh yeah, I guess
you're on
so.
it. Yeah. So
Are you
to be
affected by Brexit too, or no?
no, we're Irish, so not really.
Okay.
I mean, like there is this kind of agreement, obviously, because of the history with England and Ireland. They don't they don't really push that boat out, but it affects us in some ways with like merch and stuff like that. But like that was one of the big decisions to go over to the UK, and we spend most of our time gigging in the UK now because we had to make that decision. Ireland is quite limited after a certain point, so you just kind of have to jump. But to make that jump over, um, it's a choice. So and it's the same choice if you're going into Europe and if you're going over to the States or wherever. Ireland's an island, and unfortunately, that means it's the same across the board.
Right, it's finite, and you can only play so many places, I guess.
Correct, yeah. Like I mean, we still love playing Ireland. Obviously that's a big thing for us as well to try and do as much as we can. But when you're over in the UK, you can play 5 shows and not play the same venue again twice, you know? And obviously trying to get the name out there as well. It is what it is. But look, every time you come back to Ireland, the crowds get bigger,
It's
and
great.
it's awesome, you know. So to all our fans in Ireland and everyone who supported us in Ireland, you know, that's huge, and we really appreciate that. So we do always make sure that like right, we haven't been to Ireland in a while. Let's go and play a show here or there, and our
Right.
next 2 shows in Ireland are charity shows. Sorry, the next show's a charity show, and then the next one's like a birthday show. So it's going to be really fun.
Nice. And then lastly, if you don't mind, I like to close these with some off the wall ridiculous questions that do
Of
really
course,
good for shorts. And
of course.
hope you're not offended too easily. We can keep them as PG or whatever you want.
Ask and see what happens.
All right, we're gonna start easy. Um, is a hot dog a sandwich?
No. Like the
Oh, come on.
Americans call everything a sandwich. They call a burger a sandwich. Sandwich is like bread and bread, like sliced pan, and that's it. So yeah, it's different. Now, a hot dog's a hot
Why
dog.
though?
Because a hot
Why?
dog's a hot dog. It's like a burger's a burger.
No, but I mean, technically, the definition of a sandwich, right, would have to be something between two slices of bread, right, or two slices of something.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So,
I
what's
like.
your hang up? The little thing that's holding it together?
It's more just like the visual of it. You know, it's like if you order a sandwich and then someone has you a hot dog, you're like, okay, technically you're right, but expecting a sandwich. You know, it's like technically you can say a bagel's a sandwich.
Yeah. Is cereal a soup?
No, that's a weird one.
It
No.
has to be.
No, that's disturbing. That's
I
disturbing.
mean, again, what's the hang up? Because anything that's a liquid with stuff in it, right? It doesn't matter the temperature because you can have cold soups.
Yeah, I know, but nah, that's disturbing. That's gonna stick with me for some time, Bruce. Thanks for
What three things could you buy in the grocery store that would make the cashier the most uncomfortable?
that. I don't know. You can go any way you want, but I suppose if you buy a bunch of cleaning products, gloves, and like a rope, they'd be like, "What are you doing?" That could do it. Um, I don't know. You could buy like a bunch of dog food and a spoon.
Fair
Depends,
enough.
whatever way you want to go.
Are we okay with these so far?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's see. Let's go. I'm just gonna go with these. And what is your favorite word?
Uh, that's a good one. Well, give me time to think about it. We'll loop back around, ask it
I
again
will
at the
come
end.
back. So, what is your
Yeah.
least favorite word then?
Oh, it's not really mine, but it freaks people out. It's like moist,
It does freak people out.
and I'm like, I
That's
don't
like a
really get it.
worldwide thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just like, okay, you know.
What turns you on
Uh, uh,
creatively?
I don't know. I mean, when you're talking about the band, you kind of just need to get into that headspace. So depends. You just kind of listen to a bunch of the old stuff that you like. So if you're listening to like, you go back to that well. So you're like, Metallica, Megadeth, blah 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 blah, and then you kind of loop back around and see what happens. So yeah, creatively to turn that tap on, you really have to kind of go back to go forward.
What's your least favorite? What's noise? Jesus Christ. What sound or noise turns you off?
I hate like ironically loud noises. Like high pitched noises. Um, as someone who luckily doesn't have tinnitus and takes care of their ears, random unexpected loud noises is very annoying.
Heaven exists. What would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
You made it.
Fair enough. You want to go back to your favorite word, or I got one more?
Um, yeah, like I think Imperium's a pretty cool word.
Huh? And then lastly, name three gifts the tooth fairy should bring other than money.
Uh, Gold, some Bitcoin, and like a gift card for Amazon that doesn't run out.
Fair enough. And I know I said there was less one, but I got one more. You're stranded on a desert island. You can have three records with you, assuming you got solar power somewhere. What are they?
Yeah. Okay. So Rust in Peace, because it's the greatest thing ever invented by humans. Um, I would go with one of the Harry Carey for the Sky albums, but I don't know which one. I'll go with the latest one, Scorched Earth, because it's really good, and I'm listening to that a lot at the moment. And then this one's going to throw you for a hoop. Angels and Airwaves, Love. No, not Love. I Empire. Amazing
Oh,
album.
okay.
Amazing album.
I don't think I know any of them, so I'm gonna have to go back in.
Oh, check them out. Like Angels and Airwaves aren't metal. They're
Oh.
Tom DeLonge's space rock project, but I
Mhm.
like to stack delays. So I mean that's where I learned to do it, and he robbed it off you too. So I don't feel that bad for stealing off him.
Yes. Hey, you know what? Another band that I'm familiar with and friends with is
Oh yeah,
Sayor.
yeah.
They're
I'm
from
aware
up
of them.
your
Yeah,
neck of the woods too, right? Like Scotland over there, I think.
yeah. They play over in Ireland a fair bit actually.
That's a really
Really
good
good,
band.
really good band. They're actually playing with Primordial soon, I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, that makes sense.
Does Primordial play there a lot?
They do like one big show every year or 2 years, maybe.
I've never had a chance to see them. It's on my list of shows to be seen.
Absolutely. No, it's always a really good time anytime they play, but they like when they do play, it's a big deal.
Nice. Fred, I hope that wasn't too bad.
No, no, it's fine. Edit as you see fit, and
I
let
just
me
like
know
to
what's up.
meander, so I know we didn't really talk about records themselves in particular, but we kind of
Hey
talked.
man, look, I'm always happy to have a conversation, and once you were happy enough, that's the main thing for me.
Yeah, I just like to keep it a little different. If they want to hear about, certain things, you can always see the same. You get asked the same questions all the time, so we try and mix it up a little bit.
The one question that I do hate, and every reviewer asks it for some
Where's it
reason.
from?
Yeah, what does the band name mean? And you're like,
Mhm.
oh, yeah,
There's a million of those, so we try to do something a little bit different here.
yeah. No, I appreciate it, and also thank you so much for rescheduling. In
No worries at
future,
all.
I won't put you through that, but yeah, look, edit as you see fit, and let me know when it goes up.
All right, perfect. Thank you so
All
much,
right,
my friend. All right,
thank
be
you.
well.
Bye bye.
Cheers.